What did the mental training look like for preparing for this?
Well, really like things like going out. I'm lucky. I was lucky to live in Colorado. So we have 14,000 foot peaks. They're really beautiful. And in the winter, they're just super windy and cold and miserable. And we would pick a peak that we probably had no chance of getting to the summit, but we would go and we'd just be tromping through the snow. Sometimes we'd be in waist deep snow or chest deep snow, um, just wading through the snow, just trying to assess the avalanche danger, because obviously you got to be really careful. Um, and we would like say, okay, like we're not gonna sit down. We're gonna take all our breaks standing. And you'd be out for 10 or 12 hours in the cold, in the wind, and you'd come back, and you're trying to like actually kind of build this immunity to suffering. You're trying to build this kind of container where you can be kind of peaceful and zen, even though the elements are like crazy around you, because you're like kind of in this cocoon, not only like with a down jacket or down suit and big boots and gloves and balaclavas and goggles and helmets and all that stuff, but like a kind of like a psychological cocoon where you can be at peace even though the world around you is just raging, right? And like you're just on the edge of danger there. But you train your mind to just be calm and methodical through that. And so that was a lot of the mental training, I think.
What was the feeling like when you summited?
My first trip through the Khumbu Icefall was, I mean, probably to this day, still like the hardest thing I've ever done. Um, the first time I went, because by the way, so just for people's understanding, you don't climb Everest just start to finish, right? You actually do this thing called climb high, sleep low. So you climb up high, you're pushing your acclimatization, your body's ability to to build hemoglobin, your cells' ability to absorb more oxygen. So you're going up and down the mountain trying to build that capacity. It's called acclimatization. And the first time I made it about halfway through the ice fall, and I like almost had this like panic attack. How am I gonna? I'm like trapped in this nightmarish environment. It's like the glacier reaches a cliff and it kind of gets squeezed between these two rocks, and it collapses down the mountain like a river of ice. So it's just like this absolute, like take a glacier and explode an atom bomb in the middle of it, and that's the Khumbu icefall. So I had to kind of like learn to navigate through that thing. And man, the first few trips I just got the crap beaten out of me. Knowing that every step could kill you, trying to move so carefully through that, zigzagging across crevasses that are like the width of your boot, jumping across some crevasses and just trying to stick the landing, walking over these ladders, 4 or 5 ladders sometimes lashed together across these crevasses that you're trying to stand without my eyes and being able to lock my crampons over the rungs and not fall off into space. You are anchored, but still, I mean, there's the risk there. So the first time through that Khumbu icefall took me 13 hours, and I just knew that was way too long in that dangerous environment. And so I had to, that's the thing about being mentally and physically ready and fit, is that you were able to like wake up and say, okay, today's a new day and I'm going to try it again. Um, the Sherpas, they're Buddhists, and they have this quote that I think I did kind of latch onto at the time. And they said, the nature of mind is like water. If you do not disturb it, it will become clear. And I think what they're saying is like your head, like especially, gets full of like distraction, right? Like doubt and fears, and it just kind of starts to consume the mind, and you kind of have to figure out how to let all that stuff go and say, hey, I'm here for a reason. It's a clear reason. It's a compelling reason. I deserve a shot on this mountain. I have to let go of all that stuff and just keep my mind still so that I can think and reflect and be fully present in the moment and celebrate each step along the way. And that really did. That was really, really incredibly helpful for me, time and time, 10 times up and down through the Khumbu Icefall. So to answer your question in that really long-winded answer is that standing on the top, it was it was like a retrospective kind of thing, because when I got to the top, you're on this little island in the sky, and we're hugging and crying and cheering, and but like your brain hasn't really caught up, to be honest with you, because you've gone through so much to get there. Your brain kind of keeps coming back to the summit over the next weeks and months and years. Um, you're like, my body's here, but my brain just can't quite fathom it. And then you can't really let your guard down either, because like the Sherpas are yelling at you, get down, get down, get down. There's a storm coming. So you literally spend 2 years, maybe half my life training for this mountain, and then you spend 15 minutes at the summit, hugging and celebrating, and then you got to get down. And 90% of accidents happen on the way down. If you fall into the mountain on the way up, well, maybe you have a chance, but if you fall on the way down, you're usually going to tumble down the mountain. And so I just remember every step, as a climber, you don't have to be like this brilliant athlete, but you have to be focused and say, every step counts, just the next step in front of me. And so it just takes tremendous focus to get down the mountain safely.